Hi, class. Today we'll be going over Chapter 1, Globally Anthropologically. So, today you guys get to look at anthropology and the four subfields. So, we do have a four-field approach to anthropology, and those are cultural anthropology, biological anthropology, linguistic, and archaeology. So, we do have the reason we have the four field approach is because we have what's called a holistic approach. This means that we take information from all aspects of culture, from prehistory to present, from the mythos to one's trash, from the earliest primate to modern humans. Everything goes together. You can't have a study just on artwork. You have to know everything that goes into it, the cultural, the social, the economic, the political, the religious, and so on, in order to understand fully what's going on within a culture. So, biological anthropology. Um, this is my second love as far as anthropology is concerned. Um, you have primatology. And in primatology, we study everything from apes all the way down to the little eye, which is one of the oldest primate types. Then you have evolutionary anthropology, where we study hominids, forensic anthropology, and prehistoric anthropology. So, paleoanthropology is the study of early hominids. And so in this slide, you see different hominids and different ancient tools. So we don't only look at the human remains, but also the artifacts and features, or in the things that cannot be removed from the earth, features associated with the different hominids. Primatology. If you all do not know who Jane Goodall is, you should. She is amazing. Um, and she is one of the foremost primatologists. And she works with chimpanzees, which is one of the two closest relatives of um, the modern human. The second and closest being the bonobo, which was at one point called the pygmy chimp. Okay, so with this is evolutionary anthropology. And one thing we do is we look and compare both um, modern humans to the hominid as well as ape um, species to see the difference in how the iliac fossa is different. This is the hip bone, and you can see the elongation and the curvature has changed over time. That is one reason that bipedalism, standing upright on two legs, has been able to happen. So there are quite a few other reasons as well, but that is one of the things that we study, how bipedalism came about, how we became terrestrial or ground dwelling versus or arboreal or tree dwelling. Archaeology. And these actually are from my own field work. This is me right here. Archaeology, we look for material items and features. This picture right here would be of a feature, not an artifact. And this is in Orkney in Scotland. And so it's everything from prehistory to present. And we divide archaeology into prehistoric and historic archaeology, and that's based on written records, is the cutoff. So, linguistic anthropology, this looks at decoding, transcribing, and understanding culture, because how we look at culture is really defined on our different word choices. For this, it's quite easy to look at an example of the different terms that we have for snow. Snow is very important in our area. So we know that we can have a blizzard, we can have a dusting, we can have a, what other terms are there? Large flakes, small flakes, hail, slush, a wintry mix, all sorts of different terms. But if you go to some place like South America, they're not going to have the same amount of terms for snow because it's just not something that's in their culture. It's not something they have to deal with, so they don't have nearly as many terms. This is one of the ways we look at language, is to see what's important, what is something they have to deal with. They're going to have more ways of describing things that influence their culture more precisely. Then we have cultural anthropology. This looks at the mythos, norms, commerce, religion, governing bodies, play, leisure, just to name a few. So, and yes, these are all photos from Scotland. So, what makes something culture? According to your book, it is a set of pattern behavior learned by humans as members of a particular society, or what we call normativity. And that is a word you will hear me say over and over again, the norms or normativity. That is something like a norm, whether you use chopsticks, your fingers, or a traditional place setting, fork and spoon. Norms are something that you look at only when they're broken. So if someone were to pick up a bowl of soup and pick up a fork, that's the only time that we'd really consciously think, what? We eat soup with a spoon, or we don't use any silverware to drink our broth. So that's when norms are really noticed. Participant observation. This is the key form of gathering data for cultural anthropologists, but it is also one of the ways that different types of linguistic, biological, as well as archaeological information is gathered. A very good example of archaeology and participant observation is experimental archaeology. So these pictures, this is me in Scotland. Unfortunately, it cut out. There's a beautiful castle right there. This is one of my peers in the Amazon. And this is another one of my peers in, I think she's in Zimbabwe there. I can't remember exactly where. Um, but for a biological anthropologist, one of the things they do as far as participant observation is to observe how different people walk to show the difference in bipedalism. They will also watch primates and how they walk, how they stand up straight, when they are bipedal, and when they are on all fours, and compare the difference in the lines of the body. So participant observation is used by everyone. Right. Ethnographic work. These are a couple different examples of ethnographies. Ethnography is how we get our information out for the most part. I'm not having you guys read an ethnography for this class, but if you're interested, I have a ton of different ideas for you. And so, Margaret Mean, coming of age in Samoa, and Bronslow Malinowski, the Argonauts of the Western Pacific. These are the two um, founding ethnographies and ethnographers. So they're the ones that really cemented participant observation as a very good way of gathering data. So Bronslow Malinowski, he is technically the one who is credited as creating participant observation and being an ethnographer. He says an ethnographer who sets out to study only religion or only technology or only social organizations cuts out an artificial field of inquiry, and he will be seriously handicapped in his work. He's very much advocating for holism here. So, cross-cultural comparison. Um, and this is something that is done to help support or negate normativity, as well as to gather information. Um, an example of this would be from my chapter on problems with tourism. I look at tourism on the Isle of Skye mainly, and I compare it to that of the emerald mining in on an island in off of South America, and how it has in both cultures really been a negative thing that has uprooted the traditional ways of life in that area. So that's called a cross-cultural comparison. Globalization. This is worldwide strengthening of interdependency, and it is a subfield of cultural anthropology that is really big right now. A time-space compression. This is due to technological advances that make distance and time seem nominal. What would have taken months now can take just a matter of microseconds, such as communicating with someone on the other side of the world. We can now do it via FaceTime, and a communication 100 years ago would have been months through sea. So, okay, so flexible accumulation. Corporate use of globalization to accumulate greater profits by movement of factories. So this is taking factories from industrialized nations and bringing them to non-industrialized nations and paying the workers nothing. Not a goodness. So, increasing migration, the rapid movement of people both within and between socio-cultural areas. Uneven development, the unequal distribution of benefits of globalization. That's like what I was talking about for the flexible accumulation, as far as the factories being moved into poor areas in order to be able to pay the workers less. That way, the money goes into the hands of the factory owners. You can see by the pictures, a huge uneven development and distribution of wealth. Okay, Anthropocene. That is our current historic era. So we're not the Pliocene, we are Anthropocene. Climate change is something we believe in this classroom. I don't care if you don't believe it outside of it, but within the anthropological world, it is something that we truly believe in. So climate change is the concentration of greenhouse gases that have created a change in the Earth's climate. I will leave that there for now. Think like an anthropologist. What is anthropology? So, one thing that I would like for you to do is examine the world of your own culture as if you were an anthropologist. So, kind of like the Necromia um, article, kind of go through it and try to make what is normal for you seem abnormal. Kind of do the reverse. How would someone look at your life? What would they think of your norms? Would they question the type of silverware you used to eat? How about how you would dress? What you eat? How you speak? Kind of think about that just a little bit. Okay, so concept check. Anthropology is A, the study of the full scope of human diversity. Anthropology's approach to the study of human diversity helps us avoid intellectual pitfalls of ethnocentrism. So, which of the following is not one of the four primary fields of anthropology? Business anthropology. Okay. The force of globalization have changed. D, all of the above. Okay. So, I would like to know which of the four fields you are most interested in and why. Have you noticed any effects of globalization on your own community? What are they? What field of anthropology could you use to study this issue? So, use these discussion questions as a way to guide your own discussion questions that you will be able to do on our discussion forum. Okay, that is it for this portion of the lecture. I will see you for chapter 2.